Some more on the Javelin today.
What we're gonna do now is just keep scuffing this because we took this paint off a long time ago. Scuffing this all up with just Scotch-Brite, and we're gonna put an epoxy primer on it, and that seals it up so it won't rust. We're just gonna drive it with that black epoxy primer on it until he wants to do the whole body.
We got one of those cheapo China spray gun kits, and we'll see how they do today. Some HVLP guns. Well, the primer gun seems to work okay. We ran some lacquer thinner through it. We already blew out the diaphragm though in this regulator.
We just got done painting the underbelly of the hood, and it's called an epoxy primer. You can spray this on a car after it's been blasted, and it could sit outside. You wouldn't have to worry about rust. Regular primer, moisture goes through it. This is impervious to water. So this is what you want to put on the vehicle after you've had something blasted. So we ended up putting that bonding agent between the hood and the reinforcement of the underbelly of the hood. And it's a cement that hardens, and that way your hood isn't bouncing around. I've seen guys that had hoods that came apart, and you're going fast and all of a sudden the top of your hood is dancing around. It's kind of obnoxious, so we did that before we ended up painting. Just blocking it out. We had done 80 at first with the Bondo, and then we went to 180, and after 180 I got 320 grit paper. And what we're putting on is another primer. She'll be pretty flat after all this sanding. We got this device, it's kind of like airfoil on a wing, and it can get into curves like this. Anytime you're painting outside, there's always going to be a fly in the ointment. And working with this flat black, it's like you got to put it on overlapping a lot and get even coating. And we had it in 2 coats, and then I thought I'd use up the paint. Didn't get all the way across, so one half is a little dry as compared to the other. And in one spot, it spit out water. So we got like 3 droplets of water that sprayed out. We have one water separator on it right now, but it's right out of the air compressor. I think we're gonna put another one before the reel, and then they've got these little discs that you put on before the spray gun. That'll solve that problem. We're on this mission to repair our AMC Jeep, or AMC interior on the cheap, and found this duplicolor vinyl fabric dye, and I'd say this is like one step up from a Mexican blanket, and it looks like an old lady had this car before, and we're trying to darken it, and we put like 2 coats on this, and we'll just keep on putting it on until it gets darker and darker and it's all black, and we'll avoid having to pay for having the back seats reupholstered. Maybe in the future that can be something that's done down the road, but there's so much money and time and doesn't even want to stick to here, but you want to avoid getting it on there. And this is good enough for right now. So you want to do a path, you know, get the right distance, go one way, and then we're going to go the other way. So it gets put on evenly, but whatever it takes to make the lighter fibers dark, you know, it's going to be harder to get them light ones dark, and the darker ones are already dark. So I'm going this direction once, and then you go this way. Black interior on the cheap.
Well, the interior's all back in it, and it's basically done, at least for the time being. And I'll show you what we're gonna run. I found some floor mats that were made by the same manufacturer as the carpet, and they fit excellent. Look real nice too. These are the guys that made the carpeting and the mats, in case anyone was wondering. The seats are bolted in place. The back seats are in. I think they look a lot better being dyed like that instead of having that original fabric. All the belts are in. I was missing one belt when I got the car. It's still missing. Boy, even shining the light on it, it's hard to see the headliner, but it fits pretty good. The visors are in. The gauge cluster's back in. All the lights are working in it. And that's a wrap on this for now. Here I've taken the old 35 amp alternator out of it. And the biggest I could get was a 55 amp, and I'm putting it in there. Pretty much all the connections are the same since my last video, except this orange one gets moved over to this insulated terminal. If 55 amps isn't enough, my guy over at the alternator shop said he could hook me up with a one-wire 100 amp alternator. But the problem with that is the alternator light won't work. A little bit of work was done under the car too. There's a thick coat of that undercoating on this gas tank, so that was all scraped off. The tank was painted. We got the frame connectors painted, and just pretty much getting ready to try to tune this motor in a little bit.
So when we told you about starting this project, and it wasn't for the faint of heart, I don't know how many weeks this has been, but after the metal work was done, then the body work had to be done, and it's been after the Bondo, then there was primer that was filler primer. They called it sandy primer. That blended out where the Bondo was, and then it was primed with a black epoxy coat, just because we're not going to do the whole thing, and you want the hood to look black, like, you know, what the Mopars did. And then you could see some imperfections. So we had to sand it out again. Now each time we went from 180, or from 80 to 180, and he had some sandpaper that was 320. Now I'm going to 400 grit. A lot of people use wet sanding, but I'm just doing it dry so it doesn't make a mess. And then we're going to put 2 more coats of this black epoxy primer on it. So it was a lot of work. So whenever you think you're going to start a project, it wouldn't matter where you modify something, and like make a spoiler or a wheel well extension, you know, spreading them out for bigger tires or something like that. Getting it framed out in metal goes fast. Then after that, making it look pretty takes a lot of time. You'll see where it hasn't been sanded, and then you go this way once, and then you go the other. And you'll see every time you go to a finer grit, you will see where the lower areas are. And you get that, what do you call it? The orange peelish texture. So you'd come down this way and try to go in long strokes and flatten it out. Then you go this direction, crisscrossing, until you've taken all those high little ridges. Like if you look at an orange, it's all lumpy, You take that off, and we're gonna get that texture again the next time you spray paint, because when you hit paint, it's coming out in a spray. But that'll be good enough for riding around like this, because we want to get to that power tour in Madison. And then over the winter, we'll sand the whole thing down and paint it.